BYD has been on a roll lately. Most recently, they rolled out the Seagull EV, and before that, the Sea Lion 6. But this time around, they rolled out yet another car, and BYD says it is their flagship performance model. Now, it's called the Seal, and we're here to give our first impressions. If you're going to notice that BYD has very different design languages for different kinds of vehicles. So you have the seagull and the dolphin, so it's sort of their cutesy, quirky styling. But as the Seal caters to a more upmarket and premium segment, you can see that it has more serious styling that's also been shaped by the wind. The front end is very aerodynamic looking. You have that low nose and that curved hood, and you also have that sloping roofline all the way at the back that tapers off to make it as aerodynamic as possible. Of course, you want it to be as aerodynamic as possible because that also maximizes range. Now for design, of course, you have these slim headlights with a very distinct looking DRL down here. Wheels are of the 19-inch variety, and there are actually some aerodynamic elements as well. Now these are actually covered and covers a section of the brake discs. Again, the wheels also helping in aerodynamics, creating less turbulence around the wheels. Over to its side, it's a very clean sheet design, as you can see. Now, there's not much in the way of fuzzy character lines or extreme angles, again, shaped by the wind. And even the door handles are flush to make the most out of the teardrop shape. Now, you see what I mean about that rakish rear end. So the rear windshield, the rake of it, extends all the way to somewhere here by the trunk lid and kicks upwards to create a sort of integrated spoiler without actually adding one. Now for the rest of the rear, of course, you get these full-width taillights, seems to be a design trend these days, and a wide opening trunk for maximum practicality, at least in a four-door sedan shape. Now, all in all, it's a very clean design. For those who appreciate minimalism, you're gonna enjoy the styling. There's a lot of bizarre styling cues these days, and it's a bit refreshing to see cars like looking this clean and this simple. Now, there is one thing that was rather curious about it, and it's this 3.8S badge down here. Now, obviously, it doesn't mean that it has a 3.8-liter V6 engine. So if we do find out the answer, we're just gonna put it in the supers down below. Now down here, you also have another aerodynamic enhancement apart from this trunk lid. Now this is the diffuser. Now some people would associate that with race cars, but in this case, it's actually for efficiency. Anyway, that's the exterior covered. Let's hop on inside. Now stepping inside the Seal, well, it's what you'd expect from a compact executive sedan. You've got soft touch panels just about everywhere. Of course, you have leather trimmed door caps. You got your soft touch dashboard, and more interestingly, you also have this sort of felt trimming on the side. It's not your typical wood trim and aluminum trim or any of that in here. It's a different kind of approach to a premium interior, and you do appreciate it for what it is. Cabin materials feel generally good. Build quality seems to be up to snuff with the Koreans and the Japanese, which is always a good thing. And of course, it's also laden with tech features. You have this screen right in front of you that serves as your instrument cluster, followed by a rather large infotainment system that houses just about every basic function in this car. Now, thankfully, there are buttons left here on the center console. And of course, with any BYD model, the screen can also rotate. Now for interesting features, you get seat heating and ventilation, which I am actually using right now because it's blazing hot. Now the aircon is actually of interest because you can't actually adjust it. There are no adjusters here, no physical toggles or whatnot. Instead, you actually have to adjust it through the touchscreen. I'm pretty sure there are going to be some opinions about that, but you know my stand on things that could be simplified and don't need to be put in the touchscreen. Another interesting feature is right above me. It is the panoramic glass sunroof, or should I say glass roof, because you can't actually open it. Now, interestingly, it doesn't have like a roller cover or any form of shade. It is tinted though, but if you want this covered up, you do get an accessory available, although you have to detach it every time you want to see what's right above you. Now, to be honest, there isn't much to see here at the back, although legroom is quite the highlight. Again, it's sort of typical for these pure EVs to have a lot of space here at the back because, you know, the battery is like down low there, and basically they can expand as much interior space as they want in a somewhat smaller car. No problems with legroom back here. Now, the seats are also fairly reclined to give you that sort of executive feel. And also you have USB ports down here in this hidden little cubby. So it has USB-A and USB-C. So BYD isn't, you know, turning its back away from USB-A owners. And that's sort of nice to see, given how modern and futuristic this car is. All right, so first order of business, how does the BYD Seal drive? Now, we're going to be taking it out on a set course, but before that, we're going to do a little bit of a slalom and an acceleration test for this sport compact sedan. You know, generally curious how it goes around the cones, because this thing still weighs about 2.1, 2.2 tons, but it does have all-wheel drive and nearly 600 horsepower. So let's get to it. Okay, that's the first pylon, the second one, the third one. Very planted. You know, that center of gravity, you know, in a BEV is always going to be low, so it always works to the BEV's advantage. Bit of a tire squeal, but that's because it's on comfort-oriented tires. But, you know, I imagine if they put like a sportier set of rubber on this car, it's gonna turn in even better. But you also have to remember that this is still a luxury car, so it has to do two tasks at once. So very fine balance there achieved by the Seal so far. So impressive. But I reckon I'm going to be more impressed with the acceleration because, again, we have nearly 600 horsepower, 580 horsepower thereabouts. And they say 0 to 100 k's is dispatched in less than 4 seconds. So very serious performance there in a car that looks rather subtle. So let's go, and I'm gonna tell you when we hit 100. And that's 100. That quickly. It goes to show just how instantaneous torque is in an EV, regardless of what brand it is. You know, when you experience an EV for daily driving, you know, something like a Seagull or a Dolphin, you're gonna get used to that instant response to a point that when you get back into a gas-powered car, everything just feels slow. But let's be real, you're not gonna be evading cones on a daily basis or doing 0 to 100 kilometer runs on a daily basis. This is the kind of thing you'll be doing instead. Lots of cruising, lots of city driving, and a bit of stop and go along the way. So far, from what I'm noticing, the ride can be a little bit on the firm-ish side. I mean, it is typical in that segment of sports sedan. You know, the cars like the BMW 3 Series and the Audi A4 aren't immune from that. You know, the 3 Series does have a hint of firmness, same with the Lexus IS and Audi A4. You know, the fact that I'm comparing this car to those premium European models, those German models, already shows just how serious BYD is when it comes to this model. Of course, the advantage of an electric vehicle is that it is dead silent in here, which is why, you know, even if you're accelerating, whether it's softly or quick, you don't really feel it. And, you know, granted, it's being pitched as a sort of a performance vehicle of sorts, but it's smooth, quiet, and refined if you treat it like a daily, really. Now, handling, well, the on-limit handling is fun and engaging, surprisingly. But, you know, set everything in comfort mode and It's what you expect from sort of a car in this kind of segment. It's calm, it's relaxing, the steering is light. Seats are great actually, and it's got these semi-bucket seats, surprisingly. Yeah, it's a nice, sweet place to be in. It feels premium, it feels plush enough. And I know what people are gonna say, oh, it's a Chinese car, but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt, I guess. I mean, I understand that there will be those who will say other things about it, but truth be told, as a vehicle at least, the BYD Seal does put on a very good first impression. Now, of course, the real test is going to be in the real world. So once this car hits the road and available to the public, we'll try our best to get first dibs on it to see how it really performs. But all in all, very good first impressions nonetheless.